Hi everyone, welcome back to the neighborhood. It's your friendly neighborhood reviewer with inToit Reviews, coming at you today with a very necessary video. There's been a lot of stuff coming out recently, and unfortunately for the consumer, most of it has not been very good. So, at the request of the neighborhood, I've decided to weigh in on my top 5 IEMs at or under $50. I'll also be throwing in an honorable mention for bass heads and some recommendations of where to go from here. So let's get into it. So starting at number 5, we have the K-Bear Lark. The Lark has a solid build and a great sound profile, and it comes with a tremendous accessory package in the box, including a very nice case. The price of this thing blows my mind because it's only $30. My major critique here would be that the treble does fall off rather starkly at $9K, but this is still more treble than I've been getting out of a lot of sets these days. Want a one, which would never make this list. At number 4, we'll move on to the 10 Hi-Fi T2 Plus, which at the time of this review is on Amazon for $59.99, but commonly can be found for $10 less. The T2 Plus is your de facto Harman-tuned recommendation on this list. It's multi-timbred and warmer in the bottom end and brighter up top. It's also the only recommendation on this list with an MMCX connector. I didn't love the fit of this set for me with the stock cable, but the stock cable is nice for other IEMs, and switching to the T4 cable for this set fixed most of the comfort and fit issues. Compared to something like the Blonde BL03, which also won't make this list, the T2 Plus has better extension at both ends, enhanced resolution and clarity, and is less encumbered by mid-bass bleed. So the T2 Plus will get the nod over that set here. In the middle of the pack, we have the Moondrop s.s.r at $39.99. This is the HD 600 of IEMs in terms of its frequency response and clarity. However, unlike the 600, these probably have the best stage on this list. This is a diffuse field tuning and a solid recommendation with great imaging and very good articulation. The knock here is that it's not the most resolving set, and there is some mild grain in the overall presentation, much like the HD 600 in fact. So if you can accept that set, you can accept this one. Others have also trashed the bass on this set and accused it of being shouty in the mids, but luckily RHA dual density ear tips exist. Switching to these tips perfectly mellows out any shout and improves the bass performance. What others fail to mention about the bass of the s.s.r as well is that for what it lacks in bass quantity, it makes up for with its bass quality. There is a superb amount of bass detail here, even if it isn't thrust in your face. And if I were picking a monitoring IEM from this list, it would be this one, if I were a bass player or otherwise. Next up, at number 2 on the list, we have the Jade Audio Ea1, which has recently dropped back down to $29.99, which is an excellent value for this set. In fact, in making this list, I struggled if the Ea1 would be my number 1 recommendation or not, because out of my top 5 recommendations here, it is the most technical and most precise amongst the group. Uniquely, the Ea1 uses a beryllium-plated diaphragm driver, just like its more expensive cousin, the FIO FD1. But between these two IEMs, the Ea1 gets my pick every time. The Ea1 has great separation, it's the most resolving on the list, and it has a stellar vocal presentation. Like the s.s.r, the Ea1 comes across as mid-forward, but it's less prone to shout. Nevertheless, I also recommend RHA dual density ear tips for this set to smooth things out most auspiciously, as the tips that come in the box here aren't the most favorable for this set. The staging has a great depth and dimensionality to it, but it's rather limited in its width. Like its driver, the bass on the Ea1 is also pretty unique. It's a tight and well-controlled bass, but with good punch and decent impact to it. Most of its energy comes from its mid and upper bass regions, but it also has a good sub-bass extension and rumble, but it doesn't show itself on all tracks. Instead, it reserves these frequencies for when it's really called for, and when they present themselves, they fill the listener with joy. So this is a great technical set, but it won't be for those that want a traditional V-shaped IEM presentation, or bass heads that demand bass in their face all the time. And last, but not least, at number 1, we have the Jade Audio Ea3, coming in at $39.99. It isn't as technical as the Ea1, but it is more musical in its presentation overall. And for those that want a little more consistent low-end representation, the Ea3 will definitely fit the bill. Unlike the Ea1, which comes with roughly the same package as the Ea3, in the case of the Ea3, the provided tips really produce good sonics for it. I prefer the gray tips with the red bore, and with these tips, the Ea3 produces silky smooth, honeytone sonics with great bass and treble extensions, and a decent mid-range presentation amongst the backdrop of an articulate and balanced stage with good peripheral detailing for the price range. It may not be as detailed or resolving as the Ea1, but I find its overall presentation slightly more satisfying, and I can listen to it for hours without fatigue. It does have a peak at 8K, so be aware of this, but honestly, I don't really hear it, and I think that this peak, which can be seen on graphs, is mostly an artifact of measurement rigs that are commonly used to measure IEMs by a number of reviewers. Even if this peak is there to a certain extent, I find that it may contribute to the detailing of this set, and I never perceived it to be sharp, piercing, or strident to my ears. But your mileage could vary here, and I know it has for some. In any case, the Ea3 does come with a good enough accessory package to get one started, and so, unlike most of these other IEMs on the list, it isn't absolutely necessary to run out and buy alternative cables, tips, or other accessories in order to have the best experience with this set. In my opinion, you're good to go with everything that comes in the box with the Ea3. The cable is nice, the case is good enough, the provided tips are a good match for this earphone. So if you're looking to make a one-time purchase and then forget about it, this would be my recommendation for you. As an honorable mention before we move on, I'm going to throw in the K-Bear KS2 for my bass heads out there. This set is generally only $25, but routinely goes on coupon or lightning deal on Amazon for as little as $17 or even slightly less in some cases. The thing about this set is that it is a massive V-shape, but it has great bass texture, tone, and detailing at this price point. If I'm going to listen to a rap-only playlist, I'll throw on this set for some excitement, as it works really well with this genre and digs deep in both quantity and quality at this price. So if bass wow factor is more of your thing, the K-Bear KS2 might have that jaw-dropping, juicy booty bass for you. But where can one go from here? Other recommendations of this channel as of the date of this video include, but are not limited to, the Shozy Form 1.1 at $75, the Tin Hi-Fi T4 at $99, the TFZ number 3 at $109, the Final Audio A4000 at $160, the Shozy Rouge at $179, and the ICO OH10 at $199. Beyond the $200 price range, I'd check out the Tantrum Oxygen and the Final Audio B3. But be aware that in the case of many of these sets, they may require tip adjustments or other considerations. So make sure to check out those videos for more specifics, as they're put out or will come out shortly. Speaking of which, I just got an A4000 and a B3 in for review thanks to a partnership with Final Audio for the channel. So look forward to those reviews. And also, check the description of each video, as I'll often update any tip or cable recommendation for each set there. I'm also on the hunt for a number of other IEMs to be sent into the channel, such as the Tonstem Hana, the Fio FH3, the Jade Audio Legacy 4 and Legacy 5. So if your favorite IEM didn't make the cut here, it might be because I haven't heard it yet. So consider sending it into the channel for a review, or alternatively, reach out to the manufacturer of that product and urge them to send it in to my channel for review, and I'll take a look at it. I can be reached via the email listed in the About section of this channel, or on the blog at www.intoitreviews.com. And before I go, make sure that you like this video if you enjoyed this content, subscribe to the channel to become part of the neighborhood, and consider becoming a Patreon for the low price of $1.50 a month. By becoming a Patreon, you'll show your support for the channel, and it will get you access to early written blog reviews from me. And with that, I'm out for now.